Mr. Chair, may I go back to the representative of the mayor of Ozamiz City, the acting mayor?
No, the acting mayor is not present. The administrator, Sam Fuentes.
Mr. Chair, siguro po sa susunod, medyo maging stricto na tayo sa mga yan. Mukhang pinaiikutan tayo ng mga yan. Bakit naman yung city administrator ang ibibigay lang nila sa atin samantalang ang kasagutan sa mga tanong na ito kung minsan hindi rin naman kayang sagutin ng city administrator?
We cannot, we will record it as a sign that they don't want to be heard. If the mayor doesn't appear up to the last hearing, then it's his choice. We will still have the same finding regardless if he's here or he's not here.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. Okay, pagtityagaan ko na yung city administrator, Mr. Chair.
If Your Honor, please.
Mr. Administrator, Article 13, Section 10 of the Constitution provides that urban or rural poor shall not be evicted, nor their dwellings demolished, except in accordance with law and in just and humane manner. Are you aware of this constitutional injunction?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Chair, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Kahit ikaw nung last hearing, pinangatawanan mo na hindi mo alam kung sino ang nag-demolish sa mga kabahayan ng mga complaining residents. Tama?
If Your Honor, please let me clarify, Your Honor. What I stated, Your Honor, was there was no demolition, actual demolition conducted, Your Honor. There was voluntary dismantling by the residents who acquiesced to the relocation and the project itself.
Baka yung sinasabi natin, attorney, ay yung mga informal settlers.
Basically, yes,
meron kasi akong balita na yung mga informal settlers, total wala naman silang mga bahay, but that happened in December of 2019. Ang pinag-uusapan natin is a period between April to August of 2020. Ito yung sinasabi mo na voluntaryo nilang dinimolish ang kanilang mga bahay. Tama ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Pero
it was still voluntary.
Nakita mo yung mga slides ng nakita mo yung hagulgulan ng mga tao. They are weeping. They are asking for help.
If Your Honor, please,
Yun
those were
ba
not
ay-
actual
yun ba ay
residents, Your
voluntaryo?
Honor. Those were not actual residents, nor were they parties to the case.
They are not residents of Ozamiz?
Not actual residents of the subject of the subject of this inquiry, Your Honor. They might have been residents of Ozamiz, they might have relatives residing there, but they were not the actual residents who are subject to the case, Your Honor.
Attorney,
Yes, Your Honor.
you know the ordinance of expropriation that was initiated by your own city.
Yes, Your Honor.
You identified the lots to be expropriated, pati
Yes,
yung
Your-
mga residents na inexpropriate ninyo.
Yes, Your Honor.
Bakit sasabihin mo ngayon that they are not actual residents samantalang you pinpointed the very lots and the residents to be covered by those buildings? Okay.
Those
Let me
properties,
ask you.
those shown in the video, Your Honor, the supposed affected individuals were not the actual parties to the case, Your Honor.
O, nasa sayo yan. Pero ang akin lang sinasabi ganito.
If Your Honor, please, I would just like, may I be allowed, Your Honor? Just a final, as at least, with due deference, Your Honor, I would just like to erase any vestige of any irregularity pertaining to the writ of possession, Your Honor, because in your statement beforehand, you were saying that I was actually lying. With due
Kanina
respect,
kasi sinabi mo, attorney, sinabi mo na binayaran mo yung tatlong requisites.
yes, Your
I
Honor,
talked
we
to the
did.
clerk of court.
Yes,
Ang
we did,
binayaran
Your
nyo lang,
Honor, but
ang binayaran nyo lang yung lupa pero hindi yung current zonal value.
yes, Your
You
Honor,
paid
because
from
under
1,200
if Your
Pero-
Honor, please.
pero hindi yung current zonal value. At the time of the taking, attorney, pinagtanong ko sa BIR, Sana may panahon pa tayo hanggang mamaya because the BIR representative is there. Alam ko at that time the zonal value is at least 7,500 pesos. Ang sabi
Yes, Your
ng
Honor.
clerk of court,
As of the present, if Your Honor, please, what I'm trying to state, Your Honor, trying to bring out is that it was the discretion of the court, Your Honor, because apparently the court was just following OCA circular number 113-2009, which really requires the value of the land, Your Honor.
you are not supposed to decide on that because
That's precisely my point, Your Honor. It was the court which decided on that, Your Honor.
The only point, okay, the only point I'm trying to elicit to you now is this. Bakit kasi lumilitaw na palagi niyong sinasabi walang naganap na demolition para bang kailangang magbulag-bulagan na lang tayo, walang nangyaring demolition. Ito yung mahirap tanggapin siguro. Attorney, as the owner of the project, the author of the ordinances to expropriate, the petitioner in the expropriation complaints, and the movant in the break-open pleas filed in court against several residents to drive them away from their own houses, would you still deny that LGU Ozamiz is not the one which ordered demolition of the houses in Purok Lam-An? Will you still deny that?
If Your Honor, please, it was the residents themselves which
Attorney,
voluntarily dismantled
on your lawyer's oath, would you still insist that these residents voluntarily demolished their houses?
As far as I know, yes, Your Honor.
And that they denied your statement?
Yes, as far as I know, yes, Your Honor.
Do you expect anyone to believe you?
If Your Honor, please, whatever might be their belief, Your Honor, because that is the actual fact, Your Honor, that happened.
This committee is the final arbiter as to what is the final fact, Mr. Attorney.
We submit, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Chair, it was admitted in the last hearing that the expropriation complaints were based on Section 19 of the LGU's power of eminent domain. It is on record that the city administrator agreed that the said provision of the Constitution equally cites the Constitution and other pertinent laws. Tama? Tama, Attorney, di ba? Nakalagay na ba?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
And the pertinent laws are 72, 79, and 10752. We're already finished with this, right? Are you aware, Attorney, that in the case of Lagcao versus Labra, GR number 155746, October 13, 2004, the Supreme Court ruled that the exercise of the LGUs of the power of eminent domain is not absolute. Are you aware of that case? It's yes or no, Attorney. Are you aware of that case? I am not getting an answer from you. Do you hear me, Attorney?
I am not familiar with the case cited, Your Honor.
You're not familiar. Then I will familiarize you with this case. Mr. Chair, I ask this question because in that particular case, may I repeat that? Lagcao versus Labra, GR number 155746, October 13, 2004. In that particular case, Mr. Chair, the Supreme Court cited two provisions in the Bill of Rights which limit the exercise of such power. Number one, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be deprived the equal protection of laws. Number two, private property shall not be taken for public use without just compensation.
Mr. Chair,
Did you...
with your kind indulgence, Mr. Chair,
Yes, DS Oaminal, what is your pleasure?
yeah, may I know on how many minutes more that this Marcoleta wants to use in interpreting our
It
speakers?
is up to you because you yielded time because you are second to interpellate, we can go back to him for a second round. It is up to you if you want to end it.
We can give him 5 minutes more, Mr. Chair, and to wind up so that I could have also my turn in asking questions to our resource speakers today.
DS Marcoleta, we can give you another 1 hour after your first round, so that DS Oaminal can have his turn. Please wind up for the first round only. You will be called for a second round. Thank you.
Medyo bitin na, Mr. Chair. Kasi kung 5 minutes lang, mga 10 minutes siguro, then I will temporarily stop.
Okay, 10 minutes. Then we will give you another 1 hour after the 1 hour of DS Oaminal.
Thank you. Mr. City Administrator, did you recognize those 2 limitations cited in that case?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And this,
In the same case, Mr. Chair, the Supreme Court explained that Republic Act 7279 is the law that governs the local expropriation of property for purposes of urban land reform and housing, particularly Section 9 and 10 thereof. Did LGU Ozamiz examine this law before it exercised its power of eminent domain?
I understand, Your Honor, it was part of those that were actually evaluated, Your Honor.
I see.
However,
Let me see.
in this,
Let us see if you have evaluated this. Another question, are you familiar with the cases of estate of JBL Reyes versus City of Manila, GR number 132431, February 13, 2004?
again, I'm not familiar, Your Honor.
Okay. How about the case of Philstream versus Court of Appeals, GR number 125218, January 28, 1998?
The same, Your
Same.
Honor.
You're not familiar with this. Mr. Chair, I am drawing the attention of the city administrator to these cases because if it is indeed true that LGU Ozamiz cared to study these cases, it would have refrained from expropriating those private lands that eventually led to the unfortunate destruction of the residents' houses. Why? Because in these cases, I mentioned, the Supreme Court emphasized that Section 9 and 10 of RA 7279 are limitations to the exercise of the power of eminent domain, especially with respect to the order of priority in acquiring private lands and in the modes of resorting to expropriation proceedings. Question. Attorney, do you know the prescribed order of priority in acquiring private lands? Are you familiar with this?
The limitation, Your Honor, applies to those that are...
I am asking you if you know the prescribed order of priority in acquiring private lands for housing. You don't know. I will tell you, these are the order of priority. Mag-uumpisa kayo from those owned by the government. Number 2, alienable lands of the public domain. Number 3, unregistered or abandoned and idle lands. Number 4, those within declared areas or priority development, zonal improvement sites. Number 5, bliss sites. And number 6, privately owned lands. So nakikita mo dito sa order of priority, attorney, panghuli yung private lands. Okay? Nauna nyo bang kinonsider yung 5 na order of priority in the acquisition of lands? Hindi. Pumunta kayo kagad, binaligtad ninyo, ang una ninyong kinuha ay private lands. Next question. Do you know the modes of acquiring lands for socialized housing? Ito, modes naman. Kanina, sinasabi ko sa iyo,
Yes, the order of priority.
describe order. Ngayon, I am asking you now if you know the modes of acquiring lands for socialized housing. Do you know? Be honest.
We just adhere, Your Honor, to what is...
Okay. Ito yung mga modes in this order, okay? Number 1, community mortgage. Number 2, land swapping. Number 3, land assembly or consolidation. Land banking. And then donation to the government, and then joint venture agreement, and then negotiated purchase, and the last is expropriation. Ang ginawa ng LGU attorney, binaligtad nyo na naman. Ang inuna nyo is expropriation. Do you know the strict condition enunciated by RA 7279 and pointed out by the Supreme Court before an LGU can resort to expropriation? Do you know the strict condition? Be honest. You don't know. The strict condition is that you cannot resort to expropriation without exhausting the other modes of land acquisition, of socialized housing. Ang ginawa ninyo, nagumpisa kayo kagad sa expropriation without exhausting the rest of the other modes. And then the other condition, if there is no other recourse but to expropriate, Section 10 of 7279 says, owners of parcels of land belonging to small landowners are exempted for purposes of this act. Exempted sila, attorney. Kaya nga sinasabi ko sa iyo kanina kung alam mo itong mga kasong ito. Ang sabi mo, in-evaluate ninyo. You did not, because if you did, hindi natuloy sana itong expropriation na ito. Did you know, attorney, that in the 3 cases I cited before you, dalawa kasing syudad ang involved dito, isa ang City of Cebu and the City of Manila. In these 3 cases, the City of Cebu lost its expropriation case and the City of Manila lost twice because they failed to comply with Sections 9 and 10 of Republic Act 7279. I will tell you the very reason. Mr. Chair, ganito ang sabi ng Korte Suprema. The Supreme Court made it very, very clear in these cases, in these 3 cases, that, and I will quote this, compliance with these conditions is mandatory because these are the only safeguards of oftentimes helpless owners of private property, like the complaining residents of Ozamiz City, against violation of due process when their property is forcibly taken for public use. This is the admonition, this is the ruling of the Supreme Court. So tapos na muna ako, Mr. Chair, hanggang doon na muna.